What's going on, everybody? It's Brian Trippe. Welcome to another episode of the REI Live podcast, Real Estate Investing Live. We interview the very best real estate investors and entrepreneurs all throughout this great country. This is episode number 106, and we have my good friend from Charlotte, North Carolina, Mr. Kevin Engel on the show. How's it going, Kevin?
Hey, guys. I'm so good. Glad to be here, Brian. This is very, very awesome. I appreciate the time. And so it's cold as hell in here. I can tell you that.
Tell me about it. All right. We got to get this. We got to talk about this right off the bat. We got to let the elephant in the room. We got to go ahead and address it. You're wearing a bunch of Panthers gear.
Yes, I am, because that's my team. We have an NFL football team here. However, Alabama is kind of like the NFL, though. So
yeah, I was about to say, so do we. It's called the University of Alabama. We probably have more. Because we have 85 scholarships. We probably have more NFL players on our team than you do on yours. Because you only have 53.
Oh gosh, that's a low blow, man.
Well, it's not a low blow. Even if you have 53 players, all the teams have 53 players. We got 85 scholarships. I bet you most of them are going pro.
Most of them, yeah. Probably the first couple rounds too.
So, Kevin, you're all over social media. So most people actually know who you are already. Just because I think you do a great job of networking on social media. And I'd like to actually talk about that because I'm a big networker myself. But just tell everybody who you are, what you do in real estate.
Yeah, guys. So thanks. So I've been in business for probably going on about 7 years now. And I'm a mom and pop investor. I'm not a big hedge fund, big company. I've got an assistant that works here probably half the week, and I'm big, yeah, like you said, I'm pretty big on social media. I like to provide value. I've got a separate group. Brian, you're in that one mentioned on the real estate group. I've also got a secret group with a few reps I work with. But basically my niche, about 3 years ago, I was a pretty big wholesaler and signed a lot of contracts. So the market was shifting so much. It's really hard to find those needles in the haystack. It was so difficult to spend a lot of money marketing, throwing shit against the wall and see what sticks. And so I really transitioned into a lot of more of a creative financing aspect. So lease option, subject to owner financing. I could give a lot more options to a seller versus just offering them, let's say, 50 cents on the dollar for the property, because most sellers in today's market are pretty well educated on what the value may be. So I wasn't, only having one tool in a tool belt was difficult back then. So I wanted to learn and do more things. And so been pretty busy doing that last few years. So that's really been a keeper for my business. And so it's been something we really focus more on that than just selling contracts.
Gotcha. And that's great. I'd love to actually talk to you a little bit about some option stuff, because I think that is kind of where we're headed if we're not already there. I feel like we are at the top of the market where you do have to be a little bit more creative with what you present to sellers. Obviously, cash offers are still being accepted everywhere, all across the board. But in order to take advantage of a lot of the leads that come in, most of your leads they're not going to accept a low cash offer. So what else can we do to provide them? I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the fact that you're, kind of a mom and pop, you wanted to kind of stay a little bit lower key. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about your market, if you don't mind. I'd love to talk about Charlotte, what Charlotte's doing and what it's done. And then I want to talk about, we're going to talk about all that, but I want to start off by talking about your networking on Facebook, because you alluded to it. You've got a group and then you've got a secret group. I think networking is the number one single most important thing that you can do in real estate, period. I don't even think that it's close. I think number two is a distant second. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you think about networking in general, and then also what you're doing specifically on Facebook, and is it working, and what are the results of that?
Yeah, it's a great question, Brian. So, about my first year in business in Charlotte, I really engaged with many people in Charlotte. I lived here for 30 years, for going on about 35 now. My first year, I hooked up with two people locally who had 30 years worth of experience. And luckily, it took me under their wing. I shoveled shit for a year, 8 hours a day, just to be around them, just to be a sponge. So I learned how to network there. I went to some meetings locally. There's 30 meetings a week in Charlotte for real estate investors all over the county.
Did you say 30?
30 meetings a week just in Charlotte. Well, we have also some surrounding counties here too. So there's, within 45 minutes, I've got 5 counties here. So, but you go back to social network, like if you're not using Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, these free social sites, you're really missing the boat because you're not getting your name out there, your reputation, your deals, you're connecting with other people on Facebook. I mean, we met on Facebook, right?
Yep.
Well, I wasn't on Facebook. Yeah, I mean, actually,
we reconnected.
Yeah, so like it's so useful for my business. Now, I don't want to spend 3 hours on Facebook per day. I spend time in maybe an hour, half an hour here, post something or in my group or something about me and my business or lead I got. But I mean, I've met so many great people through Facebook. I can't even tell you the number of people I've met on Facebook.
We actually met through LinkedIn, and I hate LinkedIn. I don't even use it, but you found me on there and you called me, like cold called me. Do you remember this? This was when I first started. This had to have been like 2013 or 14, like maybe a year or two after I started. You just cold called me. I remember I was driving down the road. I remember I was on my way to a meet. I know exactly where I was. This big hotshot investor called me. That's what I thought. And I, that's the first time I really, you were doing some stuff and I was getting a big package of deals and you're like, hey, is there a way we could collaborate on them? Maybe I've got some buyers. And so that's how it kind of started there. You just cold called me. I want you to talk about you're using it. You're using social media. You mentioned LinkedIn. You mentioned all these free resources that are out there. How can someone use those free resources the most effectively? Like what do we do when we're on there? Give me some actionable steps.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing you can do on social media is to give back free content first, right? Because I think the free content you can give, whether it's you're just starting out or doing a Facebook Live deal, hey, I'm a new investor, I'm in the market, I'm looking to connect with people in my market, I'm looking at JV, just get yourself out there a little bit and awesome. Make a presence known about, hey, I'm Kevin Angle, I'm in Charlotte, I'm newer as an investor. I'm looking to network. I'm looking to, bring some value to you first. I'm not here just for me, right? That's what people miss that sometimes. I get so many private messages per day, Brian. Hey, Kevin, you got 5 minutes on a phone call. You got 10 minutes or half hour to meet me for a coffee. I don't have that kind of time. So put yourself out there. Let people know what you're doing. I think that's the biggest thing you can do first is provide value first so you can get it back in return later on.
And that's my whole mantra. I think that's enormous. I love the advice. Give without, I say it this way, give without the expectation of receiving in return. Just give. And then I love that you even took it a step further there for the newer person that doesn't know anything. They don't really have anything to give. But, just saying stuff, hey, here's a property I'm looking at, go Facebook Live. I'm a newer investor in Charlotte, looking to connect with other people, looking to possibly JV. Here's a property I'm looking at. Here are the numbers. What do you guys think about this? Just little things. Like you said, make yourself present. Kevin, what has that done for you?
I mean, it's been huge, man, because like you just said a minute ago, I'm a mom and pop guy. I'm not a big company. I'm me and I'm 1.5 people really. And I feel like I've met just some really strong real estate investors who are much more experienced than me. But I think because of the value that we bring each other, the conversations we have like me and you do on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, it's not always about business for me. It's about getting to know you and your family and all these things. And you're an Alabama guy. We get to engage other than business, and a like-minded people obviously connect together and we build together. I want to build, but I don't need to be the biggest person. That's my advice.
So let's transition it to you said you're the mom and pop guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you envisioned from the beginning? Kind of take me back to the beginning of your business, Kevin. Talk about how you even got started and then how you've gotten to where you are today.
It's a great question. So I played golf as a kid professionally. So I played like mini tour golf and stuff, not PGA Tour level. I probably could have made it if I worked like I do as an investor back then at golf. I'd probably be on TV on Sundays, to be honest with you. I played 7 years of golf. didn't make it. Was chasing women too much, doing things I should have been doing. But from that point, I went on to be a roofing sales contractor in Florida. I traveled the country for 10 years chasing storms. So I learned a pretty big construction background, but I turned about 30 years old. I was in Missouri at the time. I'm done traveling every year. We're picking up and moving, chasing storms. So I was like, listen, I'm going back to Charlotte. I donned a real estate course. I think it was, gosh, I can't think of the guy's name, but anyway, so I went to a free course here. I had a pretty good little nest egg here in Charlotte. I was 31 or 30 at the time, and okay, I'm going to give it a shot. You know, I'm like, I really like this. It took me a lot longer to learn business and real estate than I was ever gifted at, I was pretty gifted at golf, so I wouldn't get the real estate. I had to work twice as hard as everybody else to learn the techniques and study hard. My lamp was on at nighttime, 24 hours, 48 hours watching videos and learning, and hooked up with, like I said a minute ago, hooked up with 2 people locally for a year and shoveled shit. And I was a sponge and did whatever they asked me to do, and did a couple of deals that first year. And my first year, I probably was too busy my first year chasing everything else. If I would have just fixated on wholesaling or selling contracts, I'd probably have been a lot further along in my first couple of years. I was trying to network. I was trying to learn how to flip paper. I was trying to learn how to flip houses and find money and find apartment. I mean, it was doing so much chaos. My head was going to explode. If I'd have just gone back to the beginning and like, hey, let's just focus on wholesaling. We're selling contracts for you to get really good at that. And then I transition off to other things. Been a better thing for me to do at that point. But luckily for me, Brian, those 2 people I met had 30 years experience. So however, my business was only 7 years old. That first year, I probably gained about 5 years experience just being around them for a long time. I mean, they were so giving to me. I mean, I did whatever they asked me to do without any expectations of anything. And I just try to, hey, you told me something, I go do it. Give them a car, I go drive me to sell. If I fail, I'll get back up the next day and do it again. So that's what I would tell you. That's how my career in real estate got started. Now, my plan with real estate actually is, I'm 43 now. At 50 years old, I want to play golf again. Try it one more time. It's the only regret I have in my lifetime is probably not pursuing the best I could. So I've got 2 or 3 years in my business now to make enough residual income, be happy. I'll never stop real estate, but at 50 years old, I'm going to go play golf again. That's one of my goals.
So I want to go back to something that you said earlier that you've talked about a lot. It's having the coaches or the mentors in your life that you sought out. Mm-hmm. There's a guy. I'm about to tell a story. If you're listening to this podcast and you live in my area, do not come to my office. But there was a guy about 4.5 years ago, who just came in, knocked on the door, walked into my office, and said, "Hey, I'll do whatever it takes. I want to work for you. I just want to learn. I'll do it for free. I just want to learn." And that had happened a couple other times in the past for me, and it didn't work out because it's hard. It's hard work. Like you said, you said you were shoveling shit. That's basically what you have to do in the beginning to learn the business. And so I tried it with a couple of people. It didn't really work. I ended up wasting a lot of my time training people, and they just left. They didn't come back. So this guy shows up, and so I'd already had 2 bad experiences, but I said, but I kind of did want it to work because you're talking about free labor. I definitely wanted it to work. I told the guy, look, here, go hang up 100 bandit signs Friday night. I gave him 100 bandit signs to hang up. Maybe it was 50, but I think it was 100. And he came back in Monday, and he had all the bandit signs hung up, and he told me everything he did. I was negotiating a deal over the phone with a lady. I already had the price. It was already negotiated. We just had to go get the contract. It was before the days of really DocuSign. And he went out there. He got the contract signed. He came back. It was a $10,000 wholesale fee. I gave him 30% of it. I gave him $3,000. He didn't do anything except go get the contract signed. But it was a lot.
Signs up. That's all he did. We had to go get the contract signed.
That's right. And it was like a 45 or 60-minute drive from my office. I didn't want to go, and I sent him, and he did it, and he was doing everything I asked him to do in that first week. And I think it closed like another week after that. So in the first 2 weeks, him working for me, he made like $3,000. Really not doing. He was just doing what I asked him to do. He got confidence. I got confidence in him. Dude, he's been with me ever since. He's been with me for 4 years. And I want to give a shout out to him, Samuel Minter. You're the man. I appreciate you so much. But
It's a great story.
but and I'm gonna say the preface again. Do not show up at my office and do this. I do not do this anymore. So don't feel like you can come to my office and do this.
You can have him do it now.
But, yeah, exactly. But Kevin, talk about how important that was for you in your real estate career to get jump started like it did, and the confidence it probably gave you, the education it gave you. And do you recommend other people to try to do something like that if they're newer?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you this from not knowing things at that time, my first year, and being able to rely on two people I had locally. Like, hey, I don't know the question, Mr. Seller, but I've got a partner that's got a lot more experience than me. I'm happy to find the answer for you and call you back. Right? Instead of if I just blurt something out that's probably a lie or I don't know the answer to it, they find out that I'm lying to them, and that deal's done. Reputation's business is so crucial. Being honest and providing a value and solving a problem, helping to settle through an issue, because if you help them get what they need, you always get what you want, right? That's the nature of the business. So, but to answer your point, I think it was huge for me. I don't think I could have. I'm not sure I would have made it, Brian. I'll be honest. I don't think I would have made it past the first year without their help.
Yeah. So, I want to transition. You said you're the mom and pop guy. You've never really scaled your business to where you've got multiple people working for you. You said it's you and maybe a half of another works maybe part-time or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're actually moving more towards the option stuff, the subject twos, the lease options, things like that. Just talk. I mean, did you ever have a desire to grow a big business, or is this just what it's kind of turned into?
Yeah,
have you had problems scaling? I'd like for you to talk about some challenges that you might have had as well.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think to be the biggest investor for me is not really my goal. I don't need to make $1 million net a month in cash flow. Yeah, I mean, my goal is to own 5,000 units in the next 5 years. That's
a lot.
Probably, yeah, it's a lot, and I'm nowhere near there. I'm not even close to even scaling that. But that's a goal. I've got a dream and skills, and I've put together a plan for that. I'm nowhere near that, but I was in an apartment building. My partner, when I partnered my first year, owned a 56-unit apartment complex in Charlotte, so I learned a ton about that side of it. I learned cash flow and NOI and return and cash on cash and occupancy and all this repair stuff, and so I learned so much being around it. And that's my goal. I want to own maybe 1,000 units minimum. Apartment complexes up to 5,000 units. I know I've got a long time before I get there. That's my goal. I do a lot of residential stuff now. It's my expertise, if you will, in that domain. But yeah, I mean, subject to lease options and owner financing is really where I've made last couple of years most of my money.
So let's talk about that. What does your business look like today? Like give the people listening just kind of a breakdown of what a typical day for you looks like. Are you taking the calls? Who's doing the marketing? What does all that look like?
Yeah. So Whitney, I mean, I do all I want to do is get on the phone, Brian, close deals. Okay. So that's really what I'm good at. So my back office, Whitney, will work. She pulls, I don't spend a bunch of money on marketing. I'll tell you, I spend less than $100 in mailing marketing. Okay, now, but I will tell you, I spend money on pulling skip tracing leads. Like these leads here I pull, cost me $1 to pull these. So here's the thing, is I have 10 guys in my market right now in Charlotte this is agents, this is people on the ground, boots on the ground, new people, garbage men, mailmen, all kinds of people who provide me leads on a daily basis. I'm having to go, buy a list, throw it against the wall, see what's it, spend $8,000 a month, and maybe get a deal. I don't want to do that.
So So tell me what you're doing now. You're getting a list, and what are you doing with that list? You're cold calling it?
Yeah, I cold call every single deal I get. I usually do it. I usually have, if Whitney's here in the office, she'll actually scrub the list. So I have an accuracy ratio based on the phone number I pull. So she'll scrub it, pitch the seller based on, hey, you're looking to sell. No, I'm not. Hang up, whatever. Maybe some piece in the future, but she'll call, get the right contact phone number for the seller. And then what I usually do, honestly, I'll give you guys my technique right here. So I believe in touching a customer a ton of times, okay, before a sale is probably going to happen. You're not going to pick up the phone, make it over the phone the first time you interact with somebody, then close a deal, and it's a done deal. That happens, but not regularly. So when Whitney calls, introduces our company, hey, Kevin's going to call you back. You're interested in selling the property. We've got a couple offers we can make you. He'll call you back. That's one touch. Number two touch is we get their email address. And I send them something from my company to introduce my company, my verification, my phone number. That's number two touch. Number three touch is when I actually call up and try to close the deal. Number four touch, maybe you have to go out there, right? But usually I do a lot of business over the phone. I don't leave my office unless I got to.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, Kevin. What are you saying on the phone in particular that's allowing you to do most of your business from your office and not having to go on a lot of, I guess, appointments?
It's a great question, Brian. So, I mean, if you're my seller and I get a contact lead from you, I'll pull it up on Zillow right here or Redfin. I'll pull up the number. I'll figure out where they are. I'll ask my questions based on the repairs that it needs or where ballpark they're in. I'm not going to a house if I'm $100,000 off on the value. Just not, I mean, it's a waste of my day, right? So, like, I'll make a few soft offers over the telephone. Hey, is price more important to you? You know, do you need cash today? You want price? Okay, how long would I get for you? How long, if I gave you a price, how long would you give me to cash out?
I love that.
Now I've got a couple of options there. Like, hey, did you want $70,000 cash? It's worth $130,000. It's $10,000 worth of work. Maybe we can do that deal, right? Or he wants $130,000 cash, or he wants $130,000. I'm sorry on the number. Well, how long can I get to pay you off, Mr. Sir? Now, it really just depends on the call, because every call, Brian's different. So, depending on what their need is, what their want is, what predicament they may be in, what they need to maybe sell. A lot of times the rebuttals are usually price 9 times out of 10. It's either you, your company, or maybe what you're selling. If they're giving you, hey, I need to think about it, talk to my wife, you haven't done a very good job in your pitch, in my opinion.
That's great stuff. I love that. I love that you kind of assume that they're going to give you time. Like if price is more important to them and they say, I need the 130 and it's worth 130, and you just ask, well, how long are you going to give me to cash out? Because I was taught to actually say something like, if I gave you the 130, would you hold the note for 36 months, 36 to 60 months?
Right. But what if there's a mortgage on it, right? So you can't do that. You just take it over, right? The mortgage can stay in place. Now, if it's free and clear, you can obviously negotiate that.
Yeah. No, but I just like the way that you kind of assume that
yeah.
How long are you going to give me to do it?
Yeah. I mean, I may ask how many years left on your mortgage. Maybe there's 20 years left.
Yeah.
I don't even ask them. Like, if I have 36 months, I may not even ask that question. I'll let them tell me, right?
So if there's a lot left on the mortgage, okay, it's a potential subject to for you.
Depends.
Okay.
Like, let me give you an example. So last year I bought a property last December. I believe the numbers, don't correct me if I'm wrong. I think I brought the property for $300,000 and I paid him $400,000 for it. So I paid him $100,000 over market value. Well, why would I do that? Right? Because I've got 30 years to pay it off. They just bought the property. They have to move out of state. I'm making $600 a month in cash flow, and I have a property for 30 years to cash it.
So give me some more details on that. Like, what did you get it? Like principal only payments or something?
No, it's principal extra tax and insurance. I think the principal tax and insurance was like $1,500, and I could rent it for like $2,200.
Okay.
Or $2,300. So I have $800 cash flow there, give or take, minus my expenses. So I'm probably netting about $600 a month in cash flow. Like, for example, I'd pay you $1 million for a property, right? If I could just pay you $300 for life. So
some people would argue that, what if there's a downturn in the market? What if it never recovers? What if the tenant moves out? What if they trash it? And then you're going to be out of pocket some expenses above and beyond that.
100%. That's the risk I'm willing to take. So the first position, there's always me, because I'm usually on the deed to a property. If I take a property subject to, I am never going to sell that paper. That's just bad business. If I sell a paper on that subject to, and that buyer defaults, puts us out of a bad position, that's coming back on my company. I guarantee. I'll never sell that type of paper. Okay. Number two is if I don't do a thorough background check on who I put in there. And by the way, they're putting money down to move in, not just going to be rent.
So you're moving them in like a lease option scenario then? Is that what it is?
Yeah, this one for 30 years though is not, because I've got 30 years to pay it off. I can't have them cash out in 3 years because that value, that $100,000 that I paid for it, won't be there.
Totally.
So I can't do a lease option. If I'm going to overpay for a property, I can't do a lease option because I can't guarantee in 3 years it's going to appraise for that amount.
So you just straight rented it then?
Yeah, I'll rent that one for, let's say, 25 years, and I'll either buy at that point. If at 30 years, let's say the market turns, and I've got to buy it, I got to buy it, right? Or hopefully the market will increase by then, and it's worth $450,000 or $500,000 plus. I made $600 for 30 years.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the way I look at it.
And you just said it's the risk you're willing to take. You would not advise someone who is newer, who is not savvy and has not done these before, to do something like that, though.
Never. Not at all. Yeah, you need to get your feet wet. You get with a professional and get with Ryan. I mean, get with somebody who knows the business, because not only is that a risk, it's also the paperwork trail, right? If shit hits the fan, I need to have some kind of backup there. I need to have my attorney there. I need to have my written up. Usually I have it written up on the agent contract form. I have my own personal stuff, which is one page. But if I take a property over subject to, I need some paperwork there. I need to kind of, cover my ass. So,
yeah. And just real quick, for people that don't know what subject to is, just kind of give a brief synopsis of what it is. We've done videos on it. Just want to make sure everybody's.
Sure. Basically, a subject to is I'm taking over a property with a mortgage in place subject to the existing loan. So typically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take over a property with the deed in my name. So I have total control. I can tell you about that in a minute if you want to talk about why I do that and why you should do that. But basically, the mortgage stays in the owner's name. I continue to make payments for the length of the negotiation or the terms we agree to, or the balance of the mortgage based on X amount of years. And I am on the hook for repairs and improvements and vacancies and all that stuff.
Yeah. So, guys, you can actually just go back a couple of episodes. We had Lou Brown on the show to talk about trusts, because you have to obviously use a land trust to do a subject to. I've got a video. I'll link it up in the show notes. I've got a video. It's one of the most viewed videos on subject to on all of YouTube. I'll link that up in the show notes as well if you want like a total breakdown on subject twos. But I think it's really good. But I do think it's important to kind of warn if there are some brand new people or some newer people to real estate. This is probably not something that either one of us would suggest that you go right out the gate to try to do. You definitely need to get with someone who's done this before that can mentor you and coach you through this process. You really need to be in real estate, I feel like, for a little while to truly understand how to do all these creative things, because there's a lot of legal loopholes you need to make sure that you understand. So that's awesome, Kevin. I think it's incredible, your business model. I love the fact that you've stayed small. My story is I created this huge monster where I had $16,000 to $20,000 in marketing and overhead a month back in 2015 and 16 when we were really going at it, 14, 15, and 16. And it's such, you go 1 month without doing a deal and it can really mess you up. And it just wasn't worth it. We scaled way back in kind of the beginning of 2016. And we do a few deals a month too. Now we've got some other stuff going on in our infrastructure where we've brought on coaching students to kind of partner with as well. So we got a little bit different of a system going on now, but it takes a lot. A lot of people see these guys out here wholesaling 10, 12, 15 deals a month, and they've got this huge budget and this huge overhead. Look, it's cool, but you really need to. I don't think you can scale from 0 to 15 overnight. It's something I feel like you have to do very slowly and make sure you've got those systems and processes really dialed in before you.
We also need to have that buffer too, because like you just said, if you have a bad month, you just spend $20,000 this month praying to make 40, and you don't make 20, you're going to be in bad shape.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what I've got. You go on mom and pop invest. I don't know if you guys can see that board back there, but we've got 13 deals right now in the works, just being my other assistant, right? Yeah. Like, so we've got 13 deals. I don't need to be big to do 20 deals a month. Now, 13 deals for me is a pretty damn good month, but these all won't close. And that's the other part of business, right? We all always see these checks online, and most people making money, these drive these nice cars and stuff. They don't tell you about the deals that didn't close, or the headache you went through, or the time you spent there, or all that stuff.
Totally. Awesome. Now before we go, Kevin, I want to talk about Charlotte.
Okay.
I think Charlotte is an interesting market because I think that people come into the Charlotte market for cash flow, and they also come into the Charlotte market for some appreciation. It's one of those kind of markets where you can kind of invest there for either one well. And that's what I see from afar. I don't live there. I don't invest there. Tell me, just give me like kind of an overview of the Charlotte real estate market as it sits today, December 2018, January 2019.
Yeah, so the market here is great, but it's tough. It's very competitive here. Mecklenburg County is not the biggest county, obviously, out there, but it's about tapped out here. Like, you can't find great deals here unless you've got a referral from somebody. You get lucky. I mean, I've had to go on the outskirts of Charlotte just because of the deal flow in Mecklenburg County where I live is about tapped out. Now, the market, to answer your question, is stabilizing. I mean, I do see Longview as a market here. I do see pricing decreasing here. So, the cash flow here on for example, $150,000 property here probably rents for about $1,200 or $1,300, maybe $1,500.
That's terrible.
So it's not that great, right? Yeah, I was going to ask you. Yeah, it's not that great. But if I go like an area I've invested a ton of is actually in Gastonia, North Carolina. It's 45 minutes from here. I could buy a house for, let's say, $15, $20,000 and rent for $700, $800 all day long, maybe with $10,000 worth of work, give or take. That's a great return down there. It's a long drive for me.
Let me ask you this though, on that particular property, what is that city or that town like? Is there crime? Is there, because a lot of times,
yeah.
Well, I'm a heavy crime because we're in Birmingham, we're like the murder capital of the world. But if I were to get a property for $20,000, $30,000 and rent it for $750, $800, which you can do here, you're in a C- D class type of area.
Yeah, it's a great question, Brian. I'm glad you brought that up. The Gastonia used to be called the Gas House. Okay, just put that together. Okay, but now there's been a bunch of money down there. There's got a new ballpark downtown. Put a bunch of money back into the downtown area and around the amphitheater and the ballpark. There's a lot of new growth. Big investors buying up lots of properties, and so it is transitioning. Mm-hmm. Is it safe? Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't put my wife and kid down there. But if it's a single guy or a married guy, I mean, I would live down there. I personally would live down there. Okay, there are some bad areas like everywhere across the country, but for the return, it's worth the risk, right? Because you're going to have some turnover, you're going to have some damages, but like for that return, 18.2%, that's pretty darn good for an area like that.
For sure.
At Charlotte.
So yeah, talk about. I kind of cut you off there. Kind of give us. Yeah, kind of continue on where you were headed there. You're going 45 minutes out a little bit, it sounds like, to try to find the really good deals. And I also heard you said that average sales price is kind of going down. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, in Mecklenburg County, I believe the median price point here is about $300,000, and that was probably the peak of my last quarter. I pulled the report from the MLS. But yeah, I believe it is decreasing. I believe days on market are being longer. I think people are waiting to sell their house. I think if you got a business model right now, if you got properties right now, if you got a portfolio of stuff, I'd really think about maybe letting it go.
Yeah,
I think the market's going to change here pretty next 12 months, 24 months. We will get hit here, in my opinion.
So if I'm an investor and I'm in Charlotte or I want to get into the Charlotte market, what should I do?
I mean, could you be more specific?
I've got money to spend.
Okay. Well, you got to call me first, right?
I got money. Say I got $500,000. I got $1 million. I need to put it in Charlotte somehow, some way.
Mecklenburg County. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously some areas, like, for example, there's a market 28208 is the west side of Charlotte, where I can find you better returns than Mecklenburg County. Obviously, every zip code's different. But yeah, I mean, to find you a portfolio of properties in Charlotte's not going to happen, not today. It will happen, but not today. But if you got $500,000, I can take care of your money for you.
So I guess what I'm getting at is, what strategy? You already said that it's the cash deals are becoming harder and harder to find. So you're doing the more option stuff, the owner financing, subject to lease option type of things. If I'm an investor today and I've got big money or I've got some money I need to invest, and I want to put it in the Charlotte market. If it's me, like, it sounds to me like I'm not going to actually buy real estate. I'm going to lend my money.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't know we were going with that. Yeah, you probably want. The thing is, I probably wouldn't have you be buying. If you were my partner, hey, Kevin, I got 500 grand for you. I wouldn't invest it in Mecklenburg County. I would go on the outskirts. I can find bigger stuff, bigger deals, less pricing, better returns on your money, can safeguard your position. Mecklenburg County, in my opinion, is about tapped out. I mean, there's no good deals here anymore. And I can't get you like a $500,000 worth, right? That's about one house that was a great deal.
Yeah. Kevin, I really do appreciate, I think it's important. We say real estate investing live. I think real estate is local and it is live. It's local in the sense that what's going on in Charlotte, even what you just said kind of proves this point. It's local to the point to where what's happening in downtown in the main county there is even different than what's happening 30 minutes away. And so you have to understand your local market. What's happening in Birmingham is not the same as we're actually seeing average sales price go up right now.
Wow.
Still, we do a market analysis every single month here. Average sales price is still going up. Total inventory still going down. It's been going down the whole time. Total number of sales still going up a little bit. So I think that you have to pay attention to your local numbers in your local market, even from town to town within your local market can be different. And then real estate investing is live. You need to get your butt out there and get to a live event. If you're in the Charlotte market, you need to get to one of these investing events. You need to get in contact with Kevin. He's a giver. Kevin, tell people how they can get in touch with you. Tell people about your Facebook group, how they can get into your Facebook group and learn more about you.
Yeah, Brian. So thanks so much for today, guys. The best way to find me is on Facebook, Kevin Angle, Angle. I also have a group called Mission Unveiled Real Estate Group. I'm going to repeat that, Mission Unveiled Real Estate Group. It's a very small niche group. I don't allow a bunch of crap in there. No, it's a bunch of spam in there. Brian's in there. It's tremendous value. So we're all here to help you guys. I can't help you individually all the time. So I created a group in order to give back. That was my purpose, Brian, with that group. So.
That's awesome. And then you mentioned that you have like a private. How do you get into your private group? Do I got to pay you like a bunch of money? What's that all about?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what I did with that secret group. I can't give it away right now, but I did a secret group because I wanted to try to get back to people to see if I knew what I was doing, if it was working for others. So I took 3 people on. They've been with me for about a month and a half. We've got some deals on the board working right behind there, but it was free for them to get my kinks out to figure out if I could scale the group eventually. But it won't be free again. I may do it again, Brian, and I'm happy to, support you and give you the information. But yeah, it's a lot of time. I do a lot of videos on the group. I give them a lot of resources and information. I get on phone calls. I close deals. I mean, I don't live in the markets. I mean, 2 guys are in Texas and 1 guy's in Florida. I'm not there.
Got it.
I got to do the phone. I got to spend time with them. I got to teach them. We do a lot of stuff. So I knew the grind was going to take me to do it. I was willing to do it to get back. And then, eventually I may do it again. If I do it again, it won't be for free.
So what I hear you saying, Kevin, is if there's somebody out there, maybe in your market, maybe not in your market, but they really kind of, took a liking to what you were saying. They kind of feel like they got to know you really well and you're their kind of person. Send Kevin a DM on Facebook and beg him to let you in his, hey, Kevin, you had guys that were mentors to you, and I want to be that guy. Just send him that DM and he'll vet you out and he might let you in.
Yeah, make sure you mention it from Brian's podcast, though. You got to make sure you mention it from Brian's podcast.
And then
I'll listen.
Guys, Kevin, thank you so much. I really do appreciate all the value you added. I love hearing what you have to say on Facebook, except when you're talking about the Panthers. But I really do. I think that you give some really good insight to just the real estate investing community. You are an asset to real estate investors everywhere. So I appreciate you. And guys, hit that subscribe button, rate us, make sure you're reviewing us every single time. We love you. We'll see you next time.